So welcome back to another video. We're going to be looking at some post-match analysis today from our game against KAB University. So I've been given access to the full game, which is very kind. So we're going to have a look at 5 main areas today. The set attack zone 1 and zone 3, and then set defense zone 1 and zone 3, and also some set pieces. So quite a brief overview, but hopefully we can see some things we did really well and some things we maybe need to improve on. Another thing to note is that the video footage in places isn't amazing, so just bear with it. I've tried to obviously take screenshots and slow it down a bit, but I do understand that the quality may not be the best, but hopefully you can all still see it okay. Moving into our first area, our set attack zone 1. So this is our building up from the back, and this is probably going to be our longest section. So we're going to have a look at 5 clips here. So we've got Elton going short to start with. This is really nice. And then we're looking, how can we play out? So if we just pause this here, I love this. This is something we did really, really well. We've got Isaac who's come inside. You can see my red arrow just here. He's come off that side where normally the right back would stand, meaning that the attacker has also tried to come inside to block off, using his press, that pass into Isaac. But when we run this on, we work really nicely in tandem with our winger. Look at that, lovely opposite movement. So then here's Appeal, he picks up the ball and we can pass it down the side to our winger who's dropped in now into that wider area. Meaning we've played really nicely here around our press. What does that also do? It puts the fullback in 2 minds because he knows that this is his man. And he's thinking, okay, do I go and press him? Or do I drop with my defence and maintain that line? And you can tell he's sort of in between 2 minds here. He recognises the threat, but he's reluctant to really get out to it. What does that mean? That there's some space in behind, and we find that space really nicely here. So look, the defender, clearly 2 minds. He's not gone to the ball, but he's also stepped out of that defensive line. Peter has recognised this space in behind. We did this a lot in training. Into that space we run, and the ball is fed lovely down the side. So in 3 passes we now find ourselves in that final zone. And if I just stop this here, I love this. It doesn't come to anything, but look at Isaac's run. We're talking about our fullbacks getting up the pitch when the ball's on your side, going and be creative, dynamic runs. A lovely underlapping run here between fullback and centre back into the space in behind. And it doesn't come to anything here, but this is maybe something we can improve on. Just a bit of that relationship, so Peter doesn't even need to get his head up. He just puts it in behind, trusting that Isaac's coming with that run. But some really nice movement here to get us from front to back. A second example then. Again, we're going short. And this is a perfect example to show why we go short. So we go short to start with. We're having a look about, okay, is there anything else free? There's not. So simply we just keep the ball and go back because we're waiting for them to almost commit and flinch. So Elton just passes it back to Sharif, no problem at all. They haven't fully committed yet. We've just got one guy pressing by himself. There's no danger. Again, we're having a look up. Can we go forward? No, let's just keep that ball. But this is what going short does. By going short, we now have triggered someone to jump. You can see him here. I've highlighted him in the yellow circle. He's now jumped by himself. And this is their right back, who supposedly is going to be marking a Yaka. And so now we know where the space is. He's jumped too much. Look, their press is decent in here. But for some reason he's committed. He's got drawn in by us going short. And we recognise this really nicely. And we go long. And where do we go long? Straight into that space where that defender's just vacated by trying to press too high. And there it is. The man that was supposed to be marking a Yaka is now pressing over up this way, far too high, meaning we've just found him easily in space with someone now having to try and track back and cover. I love this as well. How many times in training did we do this? Vacating that midfield. Very much trying to draw the attackers and the midfielders of the opposition up to press, but leaving our attackers right against that back line, vacating that midfield. Because what does that allow? As I run this on now, we can see we're approaching that final zone with, look at that. We've created here a 4-on-4 situation. Just by playing short a couple of times and hitting the space long, we've created a 4-on-4 in this final zone, and this should end in the goal. As we can see when I run it on now, Harry slightly overruns here, or the ball's slightly behind him, and on another day, this should end up in a goal. But it's unfortunate we missed that one. Okay, another example here then of going short at the back with Elton to start and trying to build through the phases. So, we're having a look up. Can we hit anything forward? And I love this positive pass, penetrative as well between the lines, but it's made because of really nice movement again. So this time we've got our fullback who's really nice and wide, meaning that they are trying to use that pressing shadow that we've talked about, but he's also come wide to try and block the pass into Patrick, meaning this passing lane is now open, penetrative between the lines, and look where Jordan picks this ball up in my half space, between the defenders and the midfielders, and slightly off to the side. This is a lovely area to be picking up that ball. So we've played out really nicely out of that left-hand side, through their press, into someone in between the lines. And then if we're looking about, okay, what could we learn from this as well? We've worked through the press really nicely. We've built up the pitch. But now, where is the space? We built up on that left-hand side. You can see all their players are now over here on that side we just built up through. Look where Isaac is. Look how much space he's got. We need to be thinking as soon as we get the ball out of this congested area, once we've built up through it on one side, the space is going to be on the other side. How quickly can we go and move that ball around the pitch onto the other side where the space is? Another example then of that similar idea. So we've got the ball, it's a throw in this time, but look, very congested on this side of the pitch. I love Isaac's positioning here. We've talked about our fullbacks coming inside when they're on the opposite side to the ball. So really nice to go and congest that full side of the pitch. And when the ball is played back here, we're now going to be having a look, and we know this. Okay, the ball's coming from the left-hand side. So as soon as it comes back to Elton, he's thinking, okay, the space is going to be on the right-hand side somewhere. How can we manipulate it to get space over on that right-hand side? The press is now coming. We've triggered it. So we've got a press from the left, meaning that there's going to be some free men. There's going to be some space on that right. And so we have a little look and just look at this beautiful bit of opposite movement. You can see him down the bottom of your screen. There's our right winger, dropping into almost that right back position. And what does this mean? Elton's about to go long. Our right back that was just inverted recognises the need to now go a little bit wider. Opposite movement with Opio. Here he comes, Isaac. Into that space in behind, created due to that opposite movement. So this fullback, Opio is his man. And he's thinking, okay, my man's just dropped. Maybe I need to go with him. And you can tell that because he's slow to the ball. Meanwhile, our right back is ready to run in the opposite direction into that space in behind. So this has been 2 passes. Back to the goalkeeper. Again, a big one over the top, drawing them on, recognising the spaces on the opposite side of the pitch, a little bit of opposite movement, and suddenly again we find ourselves down in that final zone 3 here. And I think this is our final example of building up from the back. So again, we've gone short to start, which is lovely, and then we're going to draw on that press. We're going to try and wait for them to make a mistake almost, to overcommit, and then we can go and play through them. So a pass into Peter, I think this is in this situation, who just pops it back. But look what that does. Sets off that press. They're now really overdoing the press, and we can now work it out here. So Isaac picks up the ball and a really nice positive touch. Where are we going? Again, inside. Trying to come into the middle of the pitch. But I really like this bit of movement from Peter, straight out of my playbook. Once our fullback has come inside on the ball, our number 8 vacates that space. And if you look at Ivan here, and then Isaac's about to arrive, we've now got a new double pivot with a fullback and our 6, with our 8 now vacating that space. And again, we're having a think, okay, we've worked the ball out really nicely on the right hand side. Where is our space going to be? And maybe we could go quickly into Patrick just then. There he is. But it needs to be done quicker. Unfortunately, in this situation, Isaac takes one too many touches. But eventually, we do work out where that space is. And then we pass it out to the left. But we've drawn them all onto that right hand side. The space is going to be over on the left. Can we work that out quicker and move that ball quicker? And there it is. Sharif is now completely free on the ball to get his head up and to play forward. We've built through that press really nicely. Okay, moving on to zone 3 then. So this is where we're starting to think about those red zones. There's upper red zones, there's lower red zones, putting balls in the box, overloads, things like that. So let's run through a few examples here. Really nice first example. This has come straight out of some of those videos. Anyone that's watched those videos, this could be an Andy Robertson and a Cody Gakpo. Like, it is literally identical. We've got a fullback who's inverted, who's dropping the ball onto a winger that's pulled wide. Because he knows that the space is going to be in behind, and there he goes, running between fullback and centre back. What does that then allow? It means that then when a Yaka gets this ball, it gives him more distance, more space. This fullback can't commit straight away to a Yaka because he's worried about Patrick's running behind. Patrick didn't get the ball here. Maybe he should have. There's loads of space for that to be passed into. But because of his run, we've created a 2v1, putting indecision in that defender's mind. So Yakin can get his head up and deliver. This is a good ball in. I like it, into space between goalkeeper and defender. But we're not quite set. I would be asking Peter and Alan to get in on that back post a bit earlier to overload them. Because right now it's sort of a 1v1. Can we turn that into a 3v2 in our favour when we deliver that ball? But if I run this on, this does actually create a really nice chance. And maybe Harry should put this away. But that's all come because of a very unselfish run from Patrick and recognising that space from a Yaka. Here we go, we've got another throw in here, just a second example. It's rolled back, and first thought on our minds is, okay, we're having a look again at that area between goalkeeper and defenders, where defenders hate the ball to go because they've got to run back towards their own goal. But we are not ready for this ball to go in here, so it should be recycled. Because yes, the idea is really good, but the timing isn't yet. We've got Harry that you can see, really nice position, but Alan is miles off it. Alan should be up here, ready to attack that back post with Harry, making a 2v1 in this area. And if the ball's delivered then with quality, we've got a lot higher chance of getting on it if we've got an overload. Even if it's a second ball in there. But unfortunately, when I play this on, the quality of delivery is not good enough. And also, we haven't got the numbers. Because this is up here. He's still over here. That ball was not ready yet to come in. But I'm going to give you your credit, Alan. This is why I tell you to arrive on that back post. Because then, when we do get that second ball, you can see coming now, we've sprinted all the way to make up that distance, to get around him, to arrive at that back post. So then when the ball comes, we should be scoring this, yes. But we've made a 50-yard sprint to get on that back post for this chance. It's unfortunate that it doesn't go in this occasion. Another example here then of a Yaka who's pulled out wide already, and our fullback is on the ball, slightly inverted. So he knows again, okay, I'm going to drop it off and I'm going to run round him. I'm going to go inverted, overlap, whatever it takes to put indecision in these defenders' mind. So he's decided, in this case Patrick, to overlap. Absolutely fine. Because look what it does. This is your closest defender to a Yaka, and he's so concerned about Patrick's run that he's following him, creating so much space for a Yaka now to get his head up and to deliver across. And this time, absolutely this is the right decision to get the ball in the box, because when it comes in here, as you can see, we have a big overload. This is what I'm talking about. Look how many yellow players we've sucked in on that side. We've overloaded this back post area. The ball maybe could be better, yes, but all the ideas here are brilliant. We've got an overlapping fullback to create space for a cross, ready with numbers to attack that back post to overload that box. And unfortunately this doesn't come to anything, but we've got a 4-on-2 situation here in the box. That should be resulting in a goal, really, with a bit better quality of that cross. Okay, another example here, and again, similar ideas. We've got a nice area, and we're thinking the right thoughts. Okay, that space between goalkeeper and the defenders. My coach has told me they don't want it there. Can I put it there? These are good ideas, but we're not ready for it. Because as you can see, we've got Harry, yes, in the right position, but they've got 3 defenders marking him. This ball is not ready yet to come into the box. So we need to have a look at that, and instead of just sticking it in there anyway, think, okay, what else can we do? And this is a beautiful run from Alan between centre-back and full-back, and that is a very easy pass to knock down the side into that lower red zone. There was lots of positives about the upper red zone, especially in this game, and delivering those balls early, as you're about to see in the next clip. But we did not target this lower red zone enough. There were some really good runs into it. We've already seen Patrick made one, and now we're seeing Alan made one. But we need to find these passes. We need to be aware more of that the lower red zone is even more dangerous. So if there's a run in there, let's give them the ball. And it turns out this cross wasn't particularly good anyway. But, Isaac, fair enough. The next clip, you redeemed yourself. So again, we've got almost exactly the same position here. But what is the difference? It's what's going on in here. Space between goalkeeper and defender. Amazing. Exactly the same as last clip. Good idea. But now the timing is right. We have one defender who's marking 2 people. We have an overload at that back post. We're in business. So yes, now we can get that ball in as quickly as possible with quality. And when I talk about a quality cross, this is it. And then look, there's our free man. Overload on that back post. Brilliant header. And there's a goal. So the difference is very important. Right ideas, but we just need to be aware of the time to do them when we have that overload. And if the overload, if that overload's not on, just go back, recycle it, or look for a different option. But don't just stick a ball in the box for the sake of it. It's got to be worked in. It's got to be thought through. Now moving on to defence, zone 3. So obviously we're going to have a look at that press. So a really nice example to start here. This is how pressing should be done. We've recognised our trigger. A sideways pass from centre-back to full-back. And there's a Yaka. He's ready to go. Really nice. Recognised our trigger. Nice pressing shadow as well. We want to be forcing them outside. This is really good. We've also got Harry coming to block any passes in here. Ayaka's pressing shadow doesn't allow anything through the middle. Forcing his touch wide. We're using that touch line as an extra defender. Forcing them down the line. And then who's ready backing it up? Our fullback. Maybe Patrick is slightly late here. But look, he's still ready. He's there to squeeze them off the side of the pitch. We've also got Jordan not allowing anything inside. Ayaka, he's still your man. I don't know what you're appealing for. But we've squeezed them really nicely off the side and we've won the ball back. That's a perfect press. Example number 2 here then. So this time they try and force it down the middle. We're still looking for that pressing trigger of passing it to the fullback. But this time it doesn't come and they try and force it down the middle. But look at that. We're talking about a 4-2-4 press. There's our front 4. Perfectly in position. Harry's even checking his shoulder to try and keep him in his cover shadow. And Jordan's obviously got him in his cover shadow. Both our wingers are slightly tucked in to allow the ball to go wide if they want to do that. But the place they can't come through is that middle. Because that's where we're going to be really, really strong. And so when he goes to clear this ball, we've eliminated 2 of their midfielders, just using our pressing shadows. And what does that then mean? It means we've now got the advantage in the middle of the pitch, and there it is. Very positive here from Ivan. I love this. Aggressive, stepping in front, being on the front foot, positive, all the words that I want associated with this press. And look, we've got 2, so there's Peter, ready in the middle of this pitch against their 1, they're just their lone number 10, to go and win that second ball if they do want to try and force it down the middle. So again, a really nice press, executed well, and we win the ball back. A final one here. So this time they're going to go long, but they're going to try to do it out wide. But again, we've got the answers with our press. And so hopefully it's going to show it here in a second. I think this one's a bit blurry, but hopefully you can still see it. There it is. So again, we've got Harry and Jordan using those pressing shadows to eliminate these 2 midfielders as an option. We've got Alan on his man over here. We've got Ayaka tucked in really nicely. And again, talking about front-footed, sorry it's so blurry, but there's Isaac, front-footed in front of his man, wanting to win the ball on that touch. And again, in this midfield area, we've got Ivan, obviously on his man, but a free man created using those pressing shadows. Meaning that if a second ball drops in here, we've got a numerical advantage, ready to go and win that ball back. On this occasion, the ball goes long, and again we win it back. So actually our press in this game was very good. Moving on, we're going to have a look at the set defence, zone 1. So we know here we're talking about the last zone, so where our line is basically. And this is an area I really think we can improve on, because watching this game back, the distances in our press, because of how deep our line was, did cause us some issues. So if I stop this here, this is the first thing that you're going to see. Our press was really good there. We just saw we had a front 4, we pressed them to go long, we looked for that trigger out wide, it didn't happen, they tried to force it. Jordan, as we can see here, uses his cover shadow, eliminates him as an option. We've got our 2 versus 1 in this midfield area. So all of that is really good. But look at the gap that we've got between that front 4 and then our midfield 2 here. This is going to cause us problems, because if a second ball arrives in here, we're now relying on Jordan. Yes, he's going to sprint back and work really hard for the team, but to cover so much more ground. Whereas if our midfielders were pushed up, let's say to where roughly this referee is, and then our back line was squeezed up, so we're going to see in a second here, this distance again, and our back line was up here where our midfielders is, this means that we've condensed that pitch, meaning that any second balls, we've now got a much higher chance of getting on the end of them. Remember, if the opposition has the ball, we want that pitch to be as small as possible. Space is our enemy. So let's really make that pitch really compact by squeezing that line up. Because there is no reason at all why, when Sharif heads this here, the back line can't be up here where Ivan is, and Elton can just be collecting this one on the floor. He doesn't need to head this. He can simply just come out and pick this up, and that would eliminate any danger for any second balls in this area. So if I run this on now, thankfully Jordan does do his job and really puts a shift in. Here he comes to come back and make it a 3v3 for that second ball and wins it. But let's give him some help, because look how deep this line is again. We need to be 5-10 yards higher, probably where Isaac is, ready to compact that pitch, condense the space in case they get the ball, in case there's a turnover. Because if there's space when they've got the ball, there's going to be an issue. And it's the same again here. So this is just a long free kick this time. Again, we've got the idea of the press going on. I don't mind it at all. Everyone's doing their roles. But look at that gap between our front 4 and our midfield 2. This is going to cause us issues. And it's the biggest thing reflecting on this game we need to get better at. Because this ball's gone long from their own half. Meaning that our midfielders should probably be on the halfway line. And our defenders should probably be, at the edge of this D. So when this ball goes really, really long, we can again, that, in my opinion, should be going back to Elton. Our defence should be here. That should just be kicked over their heads, and Elton simply collects it. Let's use the offside trap to our advantage instead of putting our line on the edge of our own box. Because Elton didn't come and claim anything really in this game because of how deep the line was. Whereas if we were squeezed out, that would have meant he could have come and get it. And again, look at this. We've got two people going for the same ball here, which is poor. But look at that space. I mean, any second balls, we're going to have an issue. If we're squeezed out, if our defensive line is here, Elton can simply just come and claim that ball. And there's no danger whatsoever. But instead, we've now got a second ball to deal with. And luckily, Ivan's header is pretty good. And Peter collects it. And Jordan's trapped back really well there. But again, it was a bit of a let-off. Looking at these spaces, reflecting on this game, that we didn't concede more chances. And this is the most glaring one of all. They just pop a ball behind our midfield and our defence just runs away. Simply look at this. I can't even see where our defenders are right now. Again, when that ball comes over the midfielder's line, there should be a defensive line ready to go and make contact. Make that pitch small, compact that pitch, because if the opposition have the ball, space is the enemy. We want to make this pitch as small as possible. And so a defender here should simply just jump and go and make contact with this ball and challenge. Even if it's gone over the midfielder's head, we should have a centre-back ready to go and make contact. Instead, we all run off and drop and make that space really big, which then causes us some big problems here. Because they're now running at our back line. Our back line's really deep, so they try and cut it back. And if, they had someone running in on that, we've got a bit more of an issue. But we got away with it because they weren't particularly good in that final third, in their attacking zone 3. But looking back, that caused us a lot of problems. And against a better team, we will be found out with the amount of spaces between our attackers, our midfielders, and then our defenders. Especially in that 4-2-4. Because we are sacrificing effectively a midfielder in order to press and cover them in that cover shadow. But Jordan has to work so hard tracking back into that midfield if that distance is big. Where if it's short, he can just simply drop on his man a lot easier. So that's the biggest takeaway in terms of something that we can do going forward, which we need to improve on. Okay, we're going to move now on to something that we did really well. So we just did something that could have been a lot better. This is something that went really well. We practiced this the day before, and so much of what I saw on that day before that we were trying to do in training, we executed perfect in the match. Look at Marvin here. He starts in the traffic, so they think they've got him. But then what does he do? He comes out the traffic. Good little bit of movement, simply an in and out. So now he's got a run on that defender. And this is a quality ball in from Patrick. But just simply 5 yards out of the traffic to then arrive back in on the run. A good ball in allows him to then see the ball the whole way onto his head, and it's a great header. And actually, in the end, quite an easy goal. And we've got exactly the same thing here. This is Ivan again. He's found himself in that traffic. And that's good. Let's let the defenders feel the contact, feel like they've got them, and then move away from it, and then back in. And suddenly, look, we've got a completely free man who's now attacking the ball on a run, and that should go in the back of the net. And I love this reaction. He knows it as well. Ivan, that's got to go in. This is my favourite one, though. We've got a blocker. We did this the day before the game, and it resulted in a goal the day of, which is so pleasing for a coach. Here's our blockers in the red circle, and we're going to try and free up Ivan on the back post to head back across and play for that second ball. And everything goes perfectly according to plan. Blockers execute perfectly, meaning now Ivan's got a free head at the back post. There he is, he's pulled out. We put it back into that sort of penalty spot area, and now we've got a dangerous second ball for them to deal with. They don't deal with it well, and talk about a thumping finish. This is it from Harry. Sticks it straight in the top corner. And that both of those goals from Marvin and from Harry came straight off the training pitch the day before. So that was really pleasing. Okay, so reflecting on the game as a whole then, I know that this post-match analysis was very brief. There was so much more that could have been said. But walking away 5-1 winners in any game is a very good result. The goal we conceded was because of our own mistakes. A bit of sloppiness crept in at 5-0 up, but some of the goals we scored were brilliantly executed. And I'm going to do one more video after this, showing hopefully 2 of our best bits of play that were taken straight out the training pitch that should hopefully be really encouraging. But I hope you've enjoyed a post-match analysis. This is the first one that obviously I've been able to do, having access to a game. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learnt something in terms of what we did really well to keep doing, but also some stuff that we need to be looking to improve on going forward.